YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Buddha back in the building for, as you can see, another Last Cloudia video. On my screen, you're going to be taking a look at Eren Yeager, the latest collab character to be given to us players for free, and one that came as a pleasant surprise in my opinion and a lot of other content creators' opinions. Veterans in general, I think, are very, very pleased with Eren Yeager. I think I kind of said the same thing with Duran, but then Duran quickly turned into a quick disappointment the more he was fleshed out and used. Just more in his kit was very underwhelming in the Last Trials of Mana collab. However, Eren Yeager here, he just seems to become more fun, at least in my experience as I've continued to build him, getting him ready for this showcase. And it's only day 2 that we've had the Attack on Titan collab in game, so plenty more to test out and see what Eren can bring to the table. But we are definitely going to be taking a look at him because, as you can see, your boy's got him level 110. We've got him 5-star enhanced. He's delivered to us at level 100, 5-star unlocked. And that gives any player a huge head start in the ability to build Eren up all the way to his max potential and get him as a very, very usable and viable DPS on your team. Very exciting prospect of a character for new players, and why I want to get this video out straight away, just so that you can see an actual character that you can get to a very well performing level pretty early on in the entirety of Last Cloudia and what we usually expect. But to start off these 5-star showcases slash how to build videos, we of course got to drop the respect on whatever character we're looking at and unlock the ward. You can see, why Buddha do you have 850 plus souls for this man? Well, 200 are going to the ward, of course, and then I'm not going to spend it at this exact moment, but the other 600 are what's needed to then awaken Eren to 5 and then level 6, right? We need 200 here and 2 prism souls. The next tier up would be 400 unit souls and 4 rainbow prisms, which I don't want to spend, just because even though you might say, Buddha, you have 30, why don't you spend some of these? I don't like to spend these willy-nilly. I like to use them on very, very favorited units, I guess I could say. Like I just recently started leveling up Arden's Awaken level, because you know the man, is the myth, the legend. I've still got some unit souls to get on him. However, with these collab units, something we should talk about, you are usually able to get them leveled up and maxed out very easily, very quickly, because Last Cloudia wants you playing the game when these collabs are happening. And what better way to do that than to give you different stages, missions, resources, and rewards in order to unlock these characters and streamline their progress. So as you can see, Eren Yeager, we've got his board 120 out of 120. We have enough souls to awaken everything. I also farmed up enough unit souls in order to get him to his 90 SC potential. So definitely don't be using your mother souls on these collab characters. That's tip number 1. Always identify where to grind the unit souls and go full steam ahead on that. We covered all of that in the Last Cloudia podcast last night. I mean, I know that's a lot of footage to then sit through and listen, but when I finish editing it, there will be timestamps that will be up before this video, so make sure to go check that out. I'm pretty confident with that encompassing all of our advice, myself, Tweaks, Demos, and or Crypt when they're able to join. All of our advice on the current events going on is packed within that podcast, so I highly encourage you guys to go check that out and find the timestamps for exactly what you're looking for. But in this video, we're going to focus on Eren here, so we can see we've got him all the way maxed up, ready to showcase. I do have a lot of skills taught to him. Obviously, at 1 day in, your boy Buddha's not able to get everything in the skill library onto this guy, so we're probably going to notice some skills that I'm missing and that I will talk about when we get there. But let's just start by looking at the guy's summary You can see the stats. We can see he's got some attribute resistance downs to these 4 elements, but then some pretty nice resistances to light and dark. He does have resistance to poison, neutral, and everything except weak to stun. So that is going to pose a problem if we fight anyone who's capable of stunning. You're going to get very annoyed with Eren, so keep that in mind. We can see his 108 potential SC. I imagine we're going to get 1 prism, which is going to allow us to have 110 SC on this guy. That is one of the big benefits to these free collab units. They give them to us now level 100, enhanced all the way to 5, so that upgrading them is never as easy as these units. And we're able to usually get them up to that complete 110 out of 110 capable SC pool, which is a huge deal, guys, because where these units tend to lack a lot of innate skills, you can add a pretty decent amount to their kit with that 20 extra SC over 90. So make sure you're farming up the unit prisms, because it will definitely help us add, well, technically it's really going to help us add 1 essential skill I'm going to recommend, but we'll get to that later. The abilities. We looked at them last time on the Sarah video, but we've got Fight, shoot a wire that pulls unit to enemy for a medium area light combo attack, damage cap plus 5,000, so that's fine. I think it's only like 3 hits base, so 6 hits with dual wield. Skill 2 is It's Humanity's Time Now, shoot a wire that pulls unit to enemy for a wide area light combo attack, and they are not kidding. Very surprised and happy with the AoE on that S2. Eren will jump into range and encompass a big area of effect, so it's a very nice skill for clearing enemy boards. Then we've got skill 3, I'm going to the outside world, shoot a wire that pulls unit to enemy for a medium area light attack, slash attack, damage cap plus 180,000, so kind of crazy, but keep in mind that the slash attack is only 1 hit out of the 2 hits you get from his S3. So he doesn't have, with dual wield, 4 hits of 180k cap raise. He only has 2 potential hits of that amount. So if you're dual wielding, you're going to get 4 hits out of that S3. The first 2 hits are going to be his normal damage cap, and the second set of hits are going to have this plus 180,000. So keep that in mind when you're seeing the damage. It's not a bug, don't worry. And then the S4, I will exterminate you, powerful light combo attack to all enemies and very greatly restore unit HP, damage cap plus 20,000. This is fine, of course, if you're a newer player. Specials, it's either when you're a very new player or when you're extremely end game that specials have any kind of significance. However, when for the newer players, an AoE that greatly restores HP, I believe it's only 12 hits, but with a damage cap of plus 20 and some nice multipliers innately, it's going to help newer players out for sure. Something to note with these skills that I did talk about briefly in the podcast last night, but I'll bring it up again. What we cannot see are the innate multipliers. And what do I mean by that? I can't give you the exact description, but just think of it as with each of these characters, they have innate damage multipliers within each one of these skills. Let's say you have one character that has their damage multiplied by ×2 when they use their S1, but then you can have another character that maybe has their damage multiplied by ×5, right? It's going to vary with individual characters, and we can't know that without the data miners and asking them. However, what we can notice is that when these units are barely built, you can notice when units have better multipliers within their skills, and Eren, I think, has exceptional damage multipliers because he's able to reach high damage amounts without a lot invested into him. Again, wanted to point that out as another pro to him being such an upgradable and easy to get maxed out character right out of the gate. Looking at the traits, very plain Jane traits compared to what we're seeing, but they're still very effective in the role that Eren plays. The first one, dedicate your heart's battle start. Apply rage to unit. What does that do? Gives you a strength plus 20%, a defense minus 20%, and it disables your ability to use spells. You could still use your skills, you could still use your normal attacks, but you cannot use any spells. And Tweaks mentioned something that you should note, this is what I think the community considers a tier 2 status ailment, which means things like Cure All from your support units will not heal that status ailment. So basically, Eren is stuck with Rage until it expires because it is a temporary debuff. However, it does synchronize well with some other things in his kit that we'll see later. But then physical damage boost proportional to enemy size, max plus 50%. The theme of these Attack on Titan characters is that they want to fight Titans, which translates to boss monsters in LC. So the bigger the enemy, the more damage multiplier you're going to get out of that first trait. Always great, and is going to make Eren look very well, especially in the current events that we have going on right now. And then his second one, Humanity's Hope, boss wave start, fill special gauge to 30%. You're going to notice that. And physical damage cap to bosses plus 3,000. So no damage cap except for that conditional within the traits. Very uncommon compared to the more recent DPS units that we have nowadays. But he will make up for it a little bit in some of the skills that we're going to see now. Checking out Eren's base skill set. Once you have him 120 out of 120, you're going to have access to HP up max, attack up 4, fighting spirit 3, and critical up 2. Some very, very standard stat ups, but nothing too crazy, of course. Auto regeneration. We'll take it, but not a huge consideration. Probably will help early game players more so than later. Fury, Patience 2, whatever, it's okay. Light High Drive and Light Attack Raise 2, some very, very good damage multipliers, right? 60% to his light attack damage overall because he's DPS, but always differentiate. Light High Drive only affects physical attack and special. It does not affect magic damage when you have these light attack raises that affect all damage within that element. But for Eren, it's going to increase his physical damage by an effective 60% right there. Pose of Victory is fine. It gives you some health sustain if you're fighting multi-enemy stages, but in a fight where you're going to be taking on one boss for an extensive amount of time, you're going to want some different kind of health sustain, like Proud Force. Then he has some other damage multipliers, Sky High and Backstab, some little itty bitty ones, right? These are typically very low cost, SC 4 and 2 respectively, but it's nice to get more damage multipliers in his kit. Adversity, this is what's going to synchronize with Rage. So not only are you going to get the plus 20% strength from Rage, you're also going to get plus 20% physical and special attack damage, which is fine. I will take that. I preach about damage multipliers. Whenever you say a damage plus X percentage, we like those, okay, to hit those damage caps. Comes with dual wield innate, big SC save, but to be expected with these AOT units. Sword boost is fine, another low SC damage mod, but we'll definitely take it. Ultimate boost 2 is fine. Determination to help survive those lethal hits, but tends to not be super effective. But it's some kind of sustain. Better than nothing, right? Giant Killing gonna help. More damage multiplier against bosses. Snap Blade, we get into the gimmicks of the AOT units, and this is where he makes up on his damage cap. Battle start, apply the buff Snap Blade to the unit physical attack damage plus 30% and damage cap plus 8,000. When physically attacking, chance to lose the buff. The basic way to think about this is that there is a 1% chance that you're going to activate this loss of buff, right? So out of 100 hits that Eren does, you're gonna lose this buff on one of those hits. This actually works very well with Eren's low hit counts because it further decreases the chances you're gonna see him lose this buff, which he really does need in order to perform as well as he can. We talk about how, like with Mikasa, we try and see this buff as a cherry on top, but we don't want to account for this damage because of that RNG and ability to lose it. But with Eren, it's pretty essential to keeping his damage closer to his full potential than without it. So it actually works well that he has low hit count, so you're not going to see him lose this buff as often as like Mikasa, for example. And then to synchronize with that change blades, when the Snap Blade buff is lost, you then reapply that buff after 10 seconds, 4 times per wave. So it's at least nice that we have some way to recharge this after, and if it gets lost, But, I mean, I've talked about it before. 10 seconds is a long time. There are definitely some gripes with this system. However, it is what it is. It is what we got. The next skill that comes innate, Scout Regiment. If you're able to pull the LR Arc that released alongside Mikasa, you can then freely equip this skill to your whole team in order to get that 24% physical damage buff to bosses. And while it does look great with a 7 SC cost, we can recognize that it is so well worth it because it is niche, right? It's not just 24% damage for the unit. It is specific to bosses, which is going to be very useful if you're taking on like a one-wave stage world boss. However, it's not going to be as effective in general clearing. It's just a good skill for specific boss fighting. And then ODM gear is the other gimmick for these Attack on Titan characters. Battle start, apply 5 gas buffs to unit. When a skill is used far enough away, use 1 gas buff to greatly boost movement speed and damage plus 30%. These 5 buffs can be depleted very quickly. I think, as I and others have noticed, Tweaks had estimated it's about half the distance of your typical battle map that he needs to be away in order for this effect to activate. But when it does activate, it is very funny, and I think he threw out a plus 30 speed number. If you guys have listened to me talk about the way you increase your movement speed for characters, plus 30 is a ridiculous amount, and it makes a lot of sense. So it's very, very funny to watch these Attack on Titan characters just zip around and gap close and get to the enemies immediately. Very, very fun. It increases the fun factor by them a lot. We've covered Eren's base kit, so now it's time to get to what I think a lot of new players are going to benefit from, and that is talking about the ideology when building out Eren. What skills do we want to be on the lookout for? What kinds of recommendations can I give you guys? And what better way to do that than to literally build a general DPS PVE clearing build for Eren alongside you guys while explaining the reasoning I'm doing so. So I already did a PDPS explanation guide, quote unquote, in my Ardeen video, so I'm not going to go as in depth. I'm just going to throw up the qualifications we want to be looking for. Just a reminder, we want self-sustain, we want damage mods, and we want speed on our PDPS. And in my opinion, Eren already comes with some great skills for those areas. I mean, ODM gear gives us that quick speed that we want immediately. I mentioned he comes with like sword boost, backstab, sky high, light attack raise 2, light high drive. There's some good damage mods. But what we are lacking in Eren's kit is any reasonable self-sustain. As I mentioned, we've got Pose of Victory for a little bit of HP sustain, but if you notice, there's almost nothing in terms of SCT regeneration, MP regeneration, albeit he's not using MP in his kit, but when we throw on other damage mods like Sharp Eyes or have any other strategies that incorporate MP, he has no way of gaining that. And something else that doesn't necessarily fall within the 3 categories I have above me, but we also see that he has like no auto or fast stat buffs, which do contribute, right? I'm going to say it again, stats do matter. However, we're so used to having all of the stats we need built within these units usually and innately that we don't have to worry about it. But things like auto or fast brave, auto fast crit, auto haste, Eren is lacking considerably, and it is going to affect his performance. So we want to make sure to notice those things and be on the lookout as we're building out his kit. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the building of this boy right here. We can pretty much skip over all magic spells. I'm just going to click passives because this man's not casted nothing for the first however long the rage debuff lasts in battle. So let's go ahead. Remember, even though I mentioned he's lacking a lot in stats innately, we are going to skip over all of these stat ups until the end to see what we have left over in extra SC. And remember, if you're able to farm this man's prisms, we're going to get one more, putting him at the 110 SC, I imagine, next week. You have a lot of SC to work with and play with, which is going to help make up for where Eren is lacking. But we're going to keep on going down. Remember, Proud Force. If your physical type DPS doesn't come with this, it's usually never a bad idea to go ahead and slap it on. And as I mentioned, Eren's going to need the help with his HP sustain. Pose of Victory is not going to cut it, so Proud Force is essential, I would say. And we're going to go ahead and slap on Critical Up 2. He does come with Critical Up 1. Hello! He does come with Critical Up 2 innately, but in order to make sure we have enough Proud Force heals, I'm going to go ahead and use the 2 SC for Critical Up, an extra 2%, and I'm not too worried about it with 108 SC to start. Of course, Eren also doesn't come with the main combo damage multipliers, that being your Slayers and Special Boost. It's only really going to be relevant to have these taught to him when he is fighting a specific enemy that you are aware of, but it's not a bad idea. Go ahead, always when you get some physical DPS, start teaching them the Slayers that you have available to you, and Special Boost, of course. I want to take a pause from looking through this and mention, as I'm talking about these skills, you might be wondering, where do I get them? Check the comments below. I'm going to have a pinned comment with a link to Lake's Goldmine website. Lake is one of the goated community members who created an entire website dedicated to providing you with the underlying information all in one place. Incredible resource. You can look at all the skills, where they come from, what arcs they're on. You can look at all the equips, how to get them, and it has special notes with data mined information that Lake has found. So it is the best resource in the Last Cloudia community. So when you're wondering, where do I get Special Boost? How do I teach that to a unit? Go click that link and you can literally go find out for yourself. Skipping ahead, we get to the fast and auto buffs. This is where we will need to spend some SC, and I will recommend if you're doing long fights that you know are going to drag on for minutes and minutes and minutes, your auto skills, I would go ahead and slap those on. I don't think it's a bad idea. Maybe if you're running support roles that are casting buffs to the team, they're casting Grand Brave, Grand Critical, or Critical Phaser, then you can go ahead and rock the fast buffs. But luckily, Eren, with that huge SC pool, does have the wiggle room to use the permanent buffs if that's what you want to roll with. However, I'm pretty confident, especially with the content we're going to show Eren with, we're going to be clearing stuff pretty quickly, so I'm going to go ahead and save the SC in order to equip just the fast buffs right here. But what I do want to do is give him auto haste. This 14 SC monstrous skill we are so used to getting on our typical modern DPS, physical DPS that is, that not having it is starting to become noticeable, and it will make a difference, especially for early game players. And I believe you can get auto haste on an SR arc. Yes, it's available on Eternal Clock. Of course, go use the Lake's Goldmine site if you are confused. But you can have access to this. You do need to level up that SR arc with your souls. But when you can, I think it will serve Eren greatly if you don't have other means of SCT sustain, which is very, very important. But I'm going to go ahead and slap auto haste on Eren. And now we have some pretty essential stat buffs on this guy. I could be doing fast haste, and actually I think I'm going to do that. But just know this is a little more exclusive. This is a bit more of an exclusive skill. The majority of players are going to have access to auto haste early, and I don't think it's a bad idea to use on Eren, especially for early game players. Again, thinking about some more sustain, I think Awaken is a pretty good skill to be using on this man. Just a solid way to bounce back if the enemy is getting close to killing Eren. Awaken's going to be a good way for you to jump back up to full health when you reach 30% HP. I think Pride and Ardor are going to make sense on him, 4 SC each, for the 20% at max HP STR, and plus 10% crits at max HP as well, just helping more with sustain and damage overall. If you noticed, I haven't talked about Flying Shadow. I don't think this is a bad skill to use if you have some extra SC and you want to make your PDPS very speedy. But the thing with Eren and these other AOT units, because of how their ODM gear works, I'm not too mad at skipping over things like Flying Shadow, fast speed, high speed shot keep. I'm not going to equip immediately. If we have some extra SC at the end of this build, I'll throw it on there. But they're pretty damn zippy and skippy without too many speed buffs, at least until you run out of that ODM gear. I don't think Dusk is a bad move if you're not going to be utilizing MP draining strategies. We're going to go ahead and equip Sharp Eyes, so this isn't going to be as reliable. But for anyone who doesn't have Sharp Eyes, you know, Eren is not going to be casting any type of spells using any MP. So if you want to stack him up with some nice defensive stats, I don't think Dusk is a bad move at all if you have access to it. Skipping over some of these elemental damage boosters and modifiers, I think Light High Drive and Light Attack Raise 2 are going to suffice. I could throw on Light Critical Raise just to give him some extra crit percentage. The critical power plus 50% is not really going to matter much. I think he's going to be capping on white damage, which means his crits are absolutely capping. But it would be more for the crit rate, as you can see. However, I also think Light Critical Raise is a very exclusive skill. I think it's on a UR, so we're not going to go ahead and use it. But the thing is, with 110 out of 110, you have the space to equip these skills without it being too much of a burden. Weak point boost if you know you're going into fights that the enemies are weak to light attack. Weak point boost is going to be a great damage modifier for you to use. We get to some more self-sustain here. I think Pose of Glory, Pose of Honor are going to be very, very good on Eren, right? Very nice to have all of the poses on him, especially for general content where you are going to be fighting multi-wave, multi-enemy content a lot of the time, so the poses work great here. I am going to go ahead and give Eren Pirate's Feast because this ability is incredible for wave by wave content in terms of SCT regeneration, which I mentioned. Eren needs a lot of help in Pirate's Feast, as we're going to see further down. Your skill charges are going to work great, so definitely look out for those skills when you get certain arcs and when you have access to them. We're going to go ahead and give him Goddess Kiss, and then go ahead and give it the coupling skill, moving all the way down, finding Sharp Eyes, right? 50% damage for 3% MP being used. That's going to be the beautiful couple right there. And with some great light swords that are now in the game, Eren's MP regen is going to be very nice with his normal attacks. I'm going to go ahead and give him Surprise Attack plus 50% damage when backstabbing. Because we know that this couple right here, Surprise Attack and Backstab, is going to be 80% extra damage. When we're fighting bosses with Eren, he is going to have so many damage multipliers. It's going to make him look ridiculous when you start fighting like your boss monsters at the end of each wave. You're going to see this dude's damage jump massively. You can skip over a lot of this stuff. Blessed Speed is a good skill to call out, because when I mention how important movement speed is, some people think of this skill right here. A lot of units come with this innately, which is great. I think it's +2 movement speed. However, for the cost of 8 SC, if the unit doesn't come with it innately, I would advise staying away from this skill entirely. And because we can see he does not, it's an easy skip right over it. For my new players, impacts and triple impacts and your double impact skills, this does not actually multiply your damage up, okay? This provides a separate damage ticker that basically bounces off and is a percentage of damage based on your base hits and regular attack hits at that, right? This is not relevant to your skill damage. And to even further emphasize why they're not as important, they do not work with Goddess Kiss, which is going to regenerate MP based off the amount of damage we do with our regular attacks. This only scales off of your base regular attack hits, none of your extra attacks. So you can already tell your impact isn't bad, 2 SC, but triple impact at 11 SC, these are such easy skips. If you are using SC on these skills without a specific niche strategy revolving around regular attacks, get them off, get that SC back, and use it for better skills that are going to help Eren's overall performance. Moving past dual wield and sword boost, which he has innately in his kit, we're going to go ahead and throw sword high boost because, of course, this is another nice damage mod, and it's going to stack on top of sword boost, sword high boost, giving us a plus 40% extra damage. If you've noticed by now, we are stacking this dude up with damage mods very nicely. Now we're getting into some more skill sustain, which, of course, in these showcases, now that I'm explaining to you the ideology and process behind building, I'm not going to shy away from using limited skills that I know are going to enhance Eren's performance a lot, because I'm also trying to give you guys things to look out for and to use in the absence of these skills. So you can see the performance when you have something like this, but also know what to replace it with before you get your hands on a skill that's like as potent as Purple Orb. Purple Orb's given us +1 max skill stock to all of his S1, 2, and 3. But in the meantime, let's say you have stock skill 2, stock skill 1. I don't think it's a bad idea if you have some way to regenerate their skill charges up to max stocks, right? These are going to work very, very well just to give you more stocks and pump out more damage. What we are going to do is give Eren a skill charge 1, because even though we equipped Pirate's Feast earlier, skill charge 1 is going to allow us to start with some form of skill stock on the first wave. And what's nice is if you don't have a skill like Pirate's Feast and you just want to go ahead and equip all of these skill charges, that does happen at the beginning of each wave. So you're usually always going to start the wave with certain amounts of skill stock, which is great for dealing damage right out of the gate. But I'm not going to use skill charge 3 because we have skill charge 1. I think that's going to get us some kills immediately. We're going to proc Pose of Glory, which is going to return some SCT to finish that wave, and then on wave 2 and onward, we're going to start with all of our skill stocks, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. If you want to go ahead and slap Decoy on your Eren, right? Decoy, if you're struggling defensively, is always good because it gives that unit an extra revive stock. I'm not going to use it because I'm pretty confident we'll be okay with our HP sustain that we have on Eren. But you can see we're getting pretty close to our 108 SC. We have crossed the 90 threshold, which is pretty nuts. Pretty nuts indeed. But luckily, we're getting to the end of skills that I've taught him. We're going to skip past break skills because I don't think it's too relevant. Because of his low hit counts, I don't think Combo Master is a great skill to use on him. However, you got to remember your combo hit counts are based on the entire team. So if you have multiple DPS units on the team, it wouldn't hurt to have this if you know that you're going to be crossing that 50 hit combo more often than not. But we're definitely going to skip over it just because Eren himself doesn't excel in bringing up those combo amounts. And actually, just like that, we're at the end of the list of skills I've taught him. There are probably so many things that I haven't put on him yet, but for the most part, I'm very happy with this build. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to consider this 16 SC, extra SC that I can just throw on Eren. So what are we going to do? Like I said before, we're going to throw on the speed skills like I wanted to. And now that I'm thinking about it, the 16 SC would also work very, very well for equipping the appropriate Slayers and Special Boost. Since we used High Speed Shopkeep, which is that +3 speed, I now have exactly 15 SC, and I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. We're going to equip Special Boost, and because I'm going to take him into Encroaching Dead, right, I know that I'm taking him to a fight that is going to be particularly difficult against bosses. I'm going to go ahead and give God Slayer, putting us now at that perfect 108 out of 108, and now we have that 100% damage boost to that specific typing. And there we go. We now have a pretty nice general skill build for a DPS Eren. We have all of his innate skills. We gave him some sustain with Proud Force. God Slayer special boost, very important if you're fighting specific fights. Fast Brave, Fast Critical. Auto regeneration, Fast Haste, so that is recharging pretty nicely for 40 seconds when we start. Awaken for some more sustain. Pride and Ardor for some more stats at max HP. Nice sustain skills with the poses. Pirate's Feast for more SCT sustain. Goddess Kiss, some nice damage mods. As we can see, this is pretty much all a list of damage mods. Purple Orb for its broken ability coupled with Pirate's Feast. Skill Charge 1 for more SCT sustain, Sharp Eyes, and High Speed Shopkeep for some extra movement speed because we can. There we go. There's a 108 out of 108 build for our boy Eren. Of course, do what you got to do with the skills you're lacking, right? If you don't have the limited skills like Purple Orb and stuff, use other damage mods, throw on some attack ups, throw on some HP ups. Feel free to do other things that I was recommending, but of course I like this setup right here, so it's what we're gonna rock with. Moving on to the equips. Now we're done with the skill explanation. I'm 47 minutes into this video already. But let's go ahead and talk about some equipment recommendations. We can see Eren's Blade. I can go ahead and recommend you that immediately. It is the event limited equipment that we're able to farm up for free, and it works fantastic with Eren. Anytime you see damage modifiers on weapons, they're typically a very, very good choice. And it's of the light element. That's going to actually help with those Goddess Kiss MP regenerations, because your normal attacks look at the weapon elements to determine how much damage is being done. So why not? Why not? Let's go ahead and use Eren's Blade, just because it's going to synchronize very well. And other recommendations I can give you, it's any of your typical top tier DPS swords. Scarlet Blade, Sword of the Lost Souls, that's going to work nice, especially with Eren, because it's basically a Trishula for special attacks. Pure Blade Muramasa, right? Very end game blades. But we should also talk about some other things. Covert Gun Trishula, if you want Eren to be your main DPS, works extremely well with this weapon, and it's actually what I'm going to be equipping onto him, because he can use machines innately. We're going to take that away from Saintly Tyria. And it is of the light element. So now Eren doesn't have to worry about any enemies that resist light damage. And he's going to get some very nice Goddess Kiss procs off of these dual light element weapons. Scrolling down, right, you have your Zelbius Blade, going to work very well. Anytime you see a light sword, pretty much going to synchronize with Eren. That's going to come as the AER from the UR Eldravana. Spirit Blade Morius for your more early game, or I should say mid game, because you can buy it out of the shop, I think, when you get to the continent Mordana. Pretty nice weapon for your mid game players before you can get your Godforge weapons, before you can get your end game weapons. You can buy this out of the shop. It's a light element blade that also gives 177 strength, which is pretty high for your early game weapons. And regular light attacks deal extra light damage, so an extra attack on your regular attacks will definitely take that. Getting into some Godforge options, Holy Blade Zaja Dojin was an event Godforge exclusive equipment, but extremely good. Light physical attack damage plus 15%, battle start and close to death. You auto cast a temporary buff. One of these, it's not all of them. You can either get a Brave, an Aura, or a Speed buff, so works very, very well on Eren. True Sword Excalibur, another light sword that you can Godforge. Critical rate against undead, I believe that goes away once you get it to plus 40, and then it's just critical rate plus 5%. But then again, light physical attack damage plus 15%. I mentioned anytime you see damage modifiers on your weapons, it's typically a good choice. I'm not going to worry about any other equipment outside of the swords, except for what I already mentioned, Trishula, which we are equipping. If you did reroll for Kaldina the Great SSR Ark, and you want to start with Eren as your choice, you basically have a perfect two weapons to start out with. Eren's Blade if you grind up the event, and then Trishula is going to make Eren pretty much unstoppable against any enemies that aren't just physically immune altogether. Looking at accessories, again, we have some pretty good options from the event itself. So many different options, but I'm just going to go ahead and give you my recommendations, things that you want to be on the lookout for, that you want to be targeting and going for as you approach endgame, and AERs alike, right? Just to start, we can look at ODM gear. This is going to work very, very well, as you've seen Tweaks and me talk about. Physical attack damage to bosses plus 10%, which is great, syncs very well with Eren, but mainly gives boost movement speed. I imagine it's +1. I don't think it goes any further than that, but any movement speed is good movement speed. So boost movement speed and gives you just some solid stats. Strength 88, defense 36, and mind 23. Works very, very well with him. I'm going to go ahead and swap this so we can see other favorited items that I've used. Speed shoes, of course. When in doubt, throw on speed shoes to your physical DPS. Very easy to get. It's the AER from the clock, from the clock arc, which also gives the auto haste skill I was talking about. Mithril Relief, another great AER for your sword wielders. When sword is equipped, boosts movement speed, and then period, skill damage plus 10%. So we're going to go ahead and use Mithril Relief just because I do like that a lot. Hail Sovereign's Ring, of course, if you're looking for some more damage cap, and because Eren is a dual wielder, we love some damage cap for sure. Always a solid option. Equilibrium Sphere, talking about end game gear, it's going to work very well with him because obviously light physical attack damage plus 15%. Such a good AER from the UR Ark Vaz. And I'm looking through all of these accessories. Of course, there are so many different specific strategies I could talk about and call out, different niche accessories that are going to work very well in Eren's case, but because we're just talking about PvE general builds, in order to get the most out of his damage and his role as a physical DPS, I think we're going to call it there. Actually, I didn't even give him a second accessory here. We'll go ahead and slap ODM gear just for the thematics of it. Hit confirm. I don't have any damage cap on Eren, but it's fine. I think he'll do just fine with this setup we have. Now it's time to go ahead. We'll take him into the stage that we like to see units go solo in, that being Encroaching Dead, Chapter 6-9, and go over some Ark recommendations. Run away and be together for life. No more cold Decembers. Lonely cold December. Let's go ahead and take a look at some arcs, of course, that I would recommend for this guy. I'm going to do a little throwback to when I made an Alice, OG Alice build showcase. She is also a dual wield light attacker, and I think an SR that people can slap onto Eren very early, even when it's not level 10, that's going to help him out and just increase your performance a little better, if I can find it, is the SR Ark. I think it's because I had the filter on. The SR Ark Grave of the Blade Master, right? SCT speed plus 15% and light damage plus 25%. Battle start parties dark resistance plus 20. Just a very, very solid, easy arc to use while you're lacking some main DPS SSRs and URs and even LRs now. So very cool, very good. Keep your eye on that until you get some better options, which we're going to look up and move on to. Gonna go through the typical PDPS list. Phoenix Blow, just because it gives that skill damage plus 25% and some nice stats for your physical DPS. Again, like I mentioned, we're not too concerned with Eren's break. It's nothing too special, so it's mainly for that skill 25% damage that you can't go wrong. I guess Sword of the Corpses, people like this arc. I think it's going to help early game players, but as you approach a build like the one we have now, again, the main draw here is, or the biggest number here we can see is plus 30% critical damage, which we're not going to need help with. I'm pretty certain we're going to be hitting cap. But to be honest, I'm not actually too sure about that. So in this stage, we fight a lot of very, very tanky enemies. So this might actually be a pretty good choice to bring if you're struggling to hit damage cap even with your criticals. I think that's why a lot of people like it in the beginning, because it's difficult to get to that white damage cap. So any type of critical damage multipliers, they're going to help. They're going to help. I can't even front. Swordsman's Tale. This I really, really like with Eren, because if you are fighting a max size boss, this arc plus Eren's trait 1, you're getting plus 90% physical damage, which just sounds dope to me. And you're going to get some more movement speed from this. Just a very, very, very nice arc to have and use on your physical DPS. It's also going to be where you get Mithril Relief, the AER that I showed off when in recommended equipment. So just an incredible arc for your physical attackers. Killing Machines I haven't given a shout out in a while, but another very standard and useful arc if you're just going for general DPS. At level 10, strength plus 15% and boosts physical attack damage to enemy based on how many enemies share its type, plus 5% per enemy including target, max to 30%, and then special based on skill stock. You can get an extra 50% on your special damage if you have max skill stock, or if you have 10 stocks totaled saved up in your S1, 2, and 3. Kind of confusing to explain, but just know this is also a pretty nice arc if you're lacking any of the other recommendations. Looking at LRs, I don't see anything that stands out other than the newest one that we got, the Resistors of Titans. If you're able to pull, let's say, you've been summoning on Mikasa, you're not able to get her, but you can get this. This is going to work very, very well with Eren as well, especially where his strong suit is fighting bosses. You're going to get a lot of extra damage out of this arc specifically, so I definitely recommend it. Still need to get it to level 10. In terms of URs, you can't really go wrong with much. There's not really any arc that stands out to me. Of course, right, Eldravana's fine. A lot of people opt for that still because it gives some damage multipliers. Vaz might actually be a pretty good decision because Eren lacks so many slayers. He can get that plus 40% extra damage as long as you're not critting, and gives very good stats. Council of 10 is honestly extremely nice for that arc skill. This is going to help for some SCT sustain if you need help in wave 1 or onward. And the trait is that damage cap that's universal. So we like Council of 10 a lot, but nothing that like couples so well with Eren that I want to give it a shout. I think that gives a pretty nice recommendation for arcs listed. Not really anything super unique because Eren is what he is. He's just a nice physical DPS that also excels when you're fighting your boss enemies. With all of that considered, what arc do I want to bring? I think I'm going to do the Sword of Corpses, even though I was just talking a lot of doo-doo about it, because I want to be seeing caps on those crits, and I'm not sure how his damage is going to fare against those really, really tanky enemies that we're going to see and fight, so hopefully we're going to see at least consistent critical caps with this build. Let's go ahead and bring him into the fight and see how Eren does with this general DPS build that we've given him. We're going to start off with some S1s, and we did not deal a lot, right? He doesn't come with a lot of skill stock. We got to remember that. He's struggling right now. We're definitely struggling. We've already had Awaken proc. We just got flinched out of our S1. So he's definitely hurting right now. He's definitely hurting. Do we have any gas buffs left? That's my question. I think we do, and there was actually some really good damage done. The S3 right now is going to be our best friend for very quick, bursty damage. And we were seeing a damage cap of 23,000 with him. So if he can get on a roll and he's not getting flinched out too much, I think he's going to do very, very well. Here we're going to start out with max skill stock. We've got 3 of the S3. I want to see this thing obliterate. You can see the second half of that skill dealing almost 200,000 plus damage. That's incredible to reach that amount, even with the base kit that we've given him. I'm going to keep on doing that S3. Because it's so quick, it actually also syncs very, very well that it's so low hit because he can't get flinched out of it. So that's actually a big bonus. We were talking so much smack about that S3, how it's only 2 hits. But because it can deal so much damage in 1 hit, you could visibly see that I'm actually extremely impressed and getting excited for Eren's performance here. This is where we're going to see. I know Eren's going to struggle. I know he's going to struggle because these enemies don't flinch. They're super freaking tanky. But remember, we have God, Slayer, and Special Boost. I want to go ahead and start out using his S4 since these enemies are weak to light, and this is going to be an AoE to start it out. And Eren, I think he does get some good special damage mods in his base kit. I didn't really pay attention, but oh my god, yeah, that's incredible. Let's go ahead and just smack these. Let's go ahead and just smack these bosses. Are you kidding me? Eren, what are you doing, my guy? Oh, we got flinched out of the S3, but it's okay, it's okay. Wow, I can say I'm truly impressed. We've seen some very good DPS units struggle heavy on that stage. Eren had a lot going for him since those enemies are very weak to light. We didn't even really need to bring Trishula. However, my god, the fact I'm stunned. My opinion on that S3 only being 2 hits has completely flipped around because that was impressive. Now I want to take Eren into a current event that's going on right now, treat it as his kind of world boss debut, and take on the first wall defense hard mode. That's going to be the middle stage right here when we're looking at the 3 options available to us. Now we know Eren can handle the God stage. However, I think for a lot of new players, this is just not going to be achievable. Even if you're able to get like your Eren's board completely maxed out, you're going to need so much help to farm this reliably. However, I think with a built Eren, right, if you're able to grind up enough materials, use the trade shop from this event, get Eren's board maxed out, 120 out of 120, get him some skills taught, get his souls grinded so you can up his SC pool, up his awakening level, get all of the souls from the mission rewards, right? If you can streamline upgrading Eren, I think you'll be able to take down this first wall defense hard mode relatively easy and be contributing to the global, right, to the community efforts in beating these colossal titans while also grinding and getting S ranks in order to get the tickets to then continue the soul farm for maybe if you are able to pull Mikasa, or if you want to hoard those tickets, use them on other stages available or save them for Levi if you're able to get him. I think Eren is going to be an extremely viable unit and DPS to use in order to get that S rank, while you can also take down the hard stage and you're not stuck doing the easy stage, which isn't really contributing to the community efforts in this event. So let's go ahead and use Eren here, right? This boss does, I think, have 5 million HP, which we're going to see how Eren does. Now, I did change some things, obviously. We'll go ahead and start with the skills. Took off things like Pirate's Feast. Purple Orb I did take off because we're not fighting wave by wave content. I actually need to change this Slayer. Good thing I just saw that. We're going to change this to Soldier Slayer because the Titan is the soldier typing. So we've got the Soldier Slayer special boost. We have all of our fast skills the same. Let me just try and find exactly what I changed. I did give him weak point boost because we know that this boss is weak to light. It's weak to light, thunder, and earth. Basically tells us that Levi is going to be an earth unit, but since it is weak to light, we can get that extra weak point boost damage. These pose, actually, these are completely irrelevant in this battle, so I could and should take these off. I'm going to go ahead and take that 4 SC and just put HP plus 2 on him, because I notice Eren does have a bit of a small HP pool. So he needs a little bit of help there. So since we have 4 extra SC and I don't have a skill in mind that I want to use, that's when I go back to stat ups and kind of just throw SC willy-nilly. So now he's got a little more HP. If you wanted to throw it in his attack pool, that's not a bad idea. Or if you're still struggling, you only have like something like Aim Vitals and you're struggling with other damage mods, another good place, right? Your Aim Vitals and your Advanced Aim Vitals, those are very necessary if you don't have the big damage mods and big damage weapons to be reaching those white cap damage numbers. So if you're still struggling, you're relying on your criticals to be hitting damage cap, right? 4 SC there wouldn't be a waste. Spirit Breath I gave him. This is hopefully going to work very well. I did just release my Sarah video. Go check that out if you haven't seen it. If you did start during the new year and you were able to pull Sarah as your main healer, she is going to work very well to support Eren, be the healing, be the tanking that he needs, as long as you can give her some nice team buffing, enemy debuffing skills to start, which we are going to take advantage of in this battle. But every time she heals, we're basically going to use Sarah's healing to spam and give this man SCT in order to beat this stage, right? We're trying to take down this boss within 30 seconds. So this is going to be a very important SCT sustain for Eren himself. Still have Goddess Kiss if we need to regenerate some MP, because we have all of our damage mods, as we can see, including Sharp Eyes further down. I still have on him. Now, I do have Skill Charge 1 and Skill Charge 3. If I had it taught to him, I would also put Skill Charge 2 so that we can start with skill stocks to spam. Since we're not going to be able to use things like Pirate's Feast, I'm not going to use WAP, which would be a very good way. And if you have access to it, make sure to use it to start with all your skill stocks and just pump out damage to this guy. But I want to see a more natural way of gaining your SCT, a more common way that as a new player you're going to experience. So your skill charges are going to help you very much in this scenario. Sharp Eyes, like I said, we still have on there. And Phone Booth, yes, it's a limited skill. I'm going to start off with a ton of SCT that most players won't be able to take advantage of. But again, like I've said, you use what you can, and I'm going to use and show skills that are exceptional so that you know what to look out for as you continue to play the game. And you see something like this, you're like, dang, I either need that, or if you have it, make sure you're using it because it's going to help a ton. Everything else is the unique things to the AOT units. Equipment, I did stack endgame gear on this man, but you could just as well run the gear that I was running before. But I just want to see what Eren can do with this setup, right? We don't have to use Trishula because we know the enemy's weak, so we can bring Scarlet Blade for some extra damage cap, bring in Hail Sovereign's Ring for some extra damage cap, Equilibrium Sphere, and then Holy Blade Zaja Dojin. Use the equipment you have accordingly. I'm kind of being hypocritical saying that I'm trying to feel like what it's like to be a new player in this stage, but while I'm using true endgame stuff, I don't know. Get mad or don't get mad. Let me know in the comments how you feel. And then we did switch to the Silver Gray Swordsman SSR Ark because I want all those damage multipliers, baby. With this and Eren's trait against the Colossal Titan, best believe we're getting that plus 90%. And then Sarah, if you're wondering how she's built, go check out my Sarah video. Get ready, grab some popcorn for another little mini Buddha podcast, and learn how to build your healer / support characters. With that being said, I think it's time to go in. So like I explained, we're going to start with a bunch of skill stock with phone booth with our skill charges, and then the goal is just to use some debuffs and buffs with Sarah, but then just start spamming healing skills to try and regen Eren's skill stocks quicker for that burst. So let's see how much we start with. Dude's starting off just trying to kill us. We saw we had a pretty good amount of skill stocks with Eren. I think we had 4, 3, and 1. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to throw out a Starlight Heal. Hopefully she can activate it before this dude hits us so that we can get some SET regen right out of the bat. But we're going to see. I think she did. Boom. Beautiful. We're going to start. We're seeing beautiful damage caps right there. Beautiful damage caps. I'm going to keep trying to spam Starlight Heals. I don't even think we need to worry about debuffing the enemy or buffing our team right now. I think if we just spam our healing skills and focus on regenning Eren's SCT, we're going to be looking pretty nice in terms of clear time, right? We're already down 9 seconds, so it is tough to get that S rank. Starlight Heal, we're just going to keep spamming like crazy. Very nice that skill stock does, what's it called? That S3 only has 2 hits, so you get all the damage out real quick. I don't know if we're gonna do some normal attacks, because that's all we can do right now. We only have 14 seconds left to get that S rank. We're looking okay, but we need to definitely be casting more heals, right? We're doing Budget Man's, what's it called? Budget Man's Glass Record with Spirit Breath and healing skills right now. It's tough, man. It's tough. We have 5 seconds to get the S rank. We've got some skills left, but it's not enough. I really need that special. So sadly, we weren't able to do the job. Luckily, the damage here is not too much to worry about, so it's tough. We could see some big old normal attack numbers because we have Zaja Dojin, so don't underestimate those light normal attacks. So 15 seconds. I know that that's not an S rank. I know that that's not an S rank. So this may not be as achievable. This may not be as achievable for you newer players out there. I'm so sorry. Yeah, we get an A rank, 298 points received. We were able to deal 5 million damage to the boss, which definitely contributes to the community clearing that you have to do for the rewards. And that's going to give us 2 tickets right there. Here's the thing. If we had a secondary DPS, we'd be pretty good right now. Also, you can bring a friend unit. And I'm pretty sure with Eren right there doing what he was doing, plus another DPS if you want to bring a support friend, or if you have an Ardeen or whoever else you've been working on, it's not going to be difficult to drain that boss's health down. And then you're getting an S rank plus a decent amount of points to grind as a newer player, right? Getting 300 points, getting like that 1,000 points per clear when we're fighting the God stage. That is going to happen for most of your end game players. For the newer players, sadly, your point grind is going to be nerfed just based on what you have the potential to do. But I think 300 points will definitely help you get some great rewards still. And as long as you're beating that hard stage, you're also contributing to the community efforts as well. Also keep in mind, if we were going balls to the wall using like Honey Elixir and or WAP, if we had a character with Glass Record, that would have gone a lot more smoothly. I think we would have recharged our skill stocks much more quickly. However, I was trying to do basically the bare minimum of what we're able to achieve in terms of skill stock regen. And I think, like I said, even if that's all you have available to you, but you also have a secondary DPS, you're going to be just fine right there. Okay, Buddha gang, I think I want to do something a little different to wrap up the Eren showcase. Usually I do these PVE showcases, and then my final battle, I take the unit into multiplayer. I think Eren will do just fine as a multiplayer unit. He's not going to be exceptional. He's going to be good DPS if you want to contribute something to the multiplayer boss fight. But I'm going to take a stab at bringing our boy into Arena and see what we can do with him. That S3 being a 2-hit with that second one being like just an insane amount of damage that he can pump out. I want to see if that translates to Arena, and if we can pop enemies and see it translate over here. So I know other people have already been doing it and they're having fun, but I want to see for myself if it's possible. So here's what we've got equipped on him, and feel free to roast my Arena setup. This is just what I'm rocking. We've got all of his base skills, and then I have just a ton of Slayers on this man. Stone Slayer, you might be wondering why. Well, I'm not going to go into that now. Just know there is a reason we have Stone Slayer. God Slayer, Soldier Slayer, and Night Slayer. I would have maybe allocated some SC and put things like Sniper Slayer or Sorcerer Slayer as well, but I don't have them taught to him yet, so I'm just working with what I have. Special boost, of course, fast break, fast critical, fast speed I have on him as well. Awaken, very important. Light critical raise I think is important, because if we can snag some crits in Arena, because the damage is so heavily nerfed, I'm hoping that that critical power plus 50% will be considerable. Of course, the poses are very relevant in Arena. That's pretty much it. That's where all my SC is being used, especially on those Slayers. And then, of course, stock skill 2, Purple Orb, skill charge 1, skill charge 3. I just want him to start out with a ton of skill stock so that we can burst down as soon as we enter the battle. Decoy for the revive, Sharp Eyes if we can get some MP regen, and then all of his unique stuff. So with that, let's go. Oh, got to tell you about the equips. Here's what I'm rocking. Nothing too crazy or thought out. Just Zajadosian, which I think is the best light attack weapon that we have currently. Covert Gun Trishula, just to avoid any light resistant enemies. That might be a mistake, but I figure why not go with it. It might actually be worth it. It might actually be worth it to equip a secondary light physical damager. I think maybe Zelbius Blade, honestly, isn't a bad move. Yeah, we're going to go with Zelbius Blade and see what happens, just because your character elemental resistances typically aren't the craziest, but if we do run into someone who's built to tank light damage, we're going to struggle. But I'm going to go ahead and rock this and see what happens. On the fly, improvise, change, see what we can do. Because I really want crits to occur with Eren here, and so I need that crit rate up substantially. Mithril Relief, when the sword is equipped, boosts movement speed, skill damage plus 10%. And then Physics SAR's Ring, just in case I wasn't thinking too hard, kind of making this build quickly. So it's just a great ring to slap on. We know he had that stun weakness, so that makes up for it, but then gives him basically resistance to all of the other status ailments. We're going to go ahead and hit confirm. What do I want him to be doing? Yeah, skill 3. That's what we want him to prioritize if he's not. Actually, I want to use the skill 3 strategically. So I'm going to go ahead and prioritize skill 2 with him if I need to switch to other characters. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into an arena fight, click on him, and just try and solo the match with Eren, see how he does with some substantial burst. We do want to be a bit strategic here. I'm going to take him to fight Gorm, since you saw we have Night Slayer and God Slayer, so he should be able to do pretty well. Gorm is usually so freaking tanky, one of the most annoying tanks in the arena meta right now. So I am actually interested to see what Eren looks like fighting this guy, especially with Night Slayer and Special Boost. So like I said, we're going to switch over to Eren, and I'm immediately, who should we target right now? Who should we target? I think we want to get rid of Ray. We can see he's got 10 light resistance, but I think we'll be able to slap with our S3. And with that ODM gear buff, we know Eren's going to be a speedy mixed speedster. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to burst down the 2 S2s to try and knock out these guys quick. So we saw that it's actually, we're not dealing hardly any damage, and he's already dead. He's an absolute glass cannon right now, and I don't think my arena build is decent at all. If I'm being honest, I also think this is an extremely tanky team, and it's not looking too good for us. It's not looking too hot for us. If hopefully that's our Blizzard. I wasn't paying attention. Although Ray is in mid-attack right now, and Eren has like no health, so that is worrisome. Let's go ahead and cast Healing Wind. And I want to get away. I want to get away from DB Ray right now and his AoE. We're about to die. We're about to die, bro. This is really bad. We're getting destroyed. We have a little bit of health back. I'm going to do another Healing Wind and go ahead and just start trying to do some skills. We are not even touching this DB Ray right now. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. This is a tanky fight right here. This is really bad. This is really bad. DB Ray is absolutely destroying us. That Sarah and Tyria combo, man. We don't like it. We don't like it. This is a horrible matchup, as we can see. So I'm going to go ahead and concede to you, Meow. That was horrendous. Let's try one more time, right? I really don't know how else to build our homie here, because I figured just pumping all of the damage modifiers into him would be enough to like pop these guys. We know there's a Roy on the team right now, so we want to make sure we get to him. He's about to launch his S3, which really sucks. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to him on time, and we did not. We got absolutely destroyed. We do have a revive, so what can we do? I need that Roy to die, and he's immediately dead. He's immediately dead. This is what happens if you don't kill Roy fast enough. There we go. Roy's dead, but we are also all dead, and I think we also lost this match to Beluga immediately. We're gonna die. We're gonna die. There's just, I don't see us coming back from this, especially with Loug Zeus over there, and we don't have any instant gap closers. This is a really bad sign. We're getting very blessed right now. We're getting very blessed right now. I may be able to make a comeback. All right, Eren, I need you to put in some work, homie. Come on. No damage. Absolutely no damage to Gorm right here. It's just despicable. Actually, I think that was a pretty big hit. We're actually going to die. Yeah. I focused way too hard on Gorm right there, which just allowed his other DPS to spawn back in and absolutely destroy us. So this is a horrible showing so far. We're going to try one more match, but so far with my build, you guys can see why I am not confident making arena showcases. All I know how to do is use top tier characters that really don't need extra thought in order to just blast through enemies. Gilga, I know his team is toxic as shit, so we are definitely skipping. Oh, it really sucks that I don't have Machine Slayer on Eren. That's really tough. And then Gorm again. We saw that even though Eren has a big ol' S3 smack, it was doing absolutely nothing. More machines, just I hate these teams. I hate all of them. I hate all these teams. We'll go ahead and try this one. Although with freaking Roy and A2, I'm not feeling too good about it. Hopefully we'll see if like the enemy defense is not built very well and we can maybe do something. Again, this whole strategy I've got of Eren being my only unit I'm using is not working well. A2 is about to warp and just start slaughtering people. Can we get to Roy fast enough? No. That's an absolute definite no. Let's try again, shall we? He couldn't even kill Roy. He couldn't even kill Roy. Okay. Guys, where did I go wrong? Where did we go wrong? It's just not working. It's just not working. Okay, this is the first team I found that doesn't look like it's going to just absolutely burst down the whole team with a Roy. So let's see. What can we do? Come on. S3, I need you to do something cool, man. I need you to do something cool. Okay. Okay. This team seems a little more manageable. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay. Look at that. That's respectable. That's respectable. Eren got the killing blows. So that was cool. So I think it's very obvious. It's very obvious against the meta, the arena meta. Eren is doing fucking nothing. But if you can find yourself a team to fight that doesn't have a Roy or an A2 or a combination of those or an extremely annoying and toxic defensive build, I think with his S2 and his S3, you can deal some substantial damage. He definitely is a unit that can get your arena team rolling, especially when you're just starting out. However, when you get into the top 100, Eren is a liability. But I think that's going to do it for the showcase. We're going to leave it all in. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We saw Eren do some very impressive things, especially in the initial showcasing. And then we saw not only Eren's lack of performance, but I think also your boy Booda's reason as to why I'm sleeping on an arena guide to any extent. Because, good lord, maybe he's just not good. He's just not built. He's not built for the arena meta right now. But, to me, arena is just either you have the brain dumb characters where you just build them and then they're good in arena, or they're not, or you're extremely smart and strategic with the builds and know exactly what to do to counteract certain things, which I'm just not at that level in arena. Eren doesn't seem like one of these just like build him and he's ready to go, but I do think his S3 and S2 will be useful for early arena based on the impressions that I just got right there. But, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. Maybe others can attest to that opinion as well. But I gotta give you guys my feedback. And there it is. Boy Eren, 5-star showcase, how to build general PVE DPS in his certain situation, right? It's going to be a lot of me repeating the same things in these build showcases. But I think what is the takeaway is what is relevant to that specific character, because all characters are going to have different unique kits innately, and you're going to need to look out for certain skills in order to make up for their specific weaknesses. With all that being said, guys, that's all I got for you this time. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, turn on all notifications. You know the drill. Y'all know what we say. Work hard, play harder. See you in the next video.